A new time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. Welcome to Greg Kelly Reports. And I'm very excited. Some folks, let's face it, they go to sleep before 10 o'clock. And I think this could get a lot more eyeballs on our program, which we are very, very proud of. And for you late night owls, please stick around for The Right Squad with Chris Plant. It's a fabulous show right after this one. So as we start our new season at 9 o'clock, I thought I would start out by telling you a little bit, basically, the founding principles of this show. And they're tightly aligned with the founding principles of this country. Number one, our founding fathers, I believe, and I'm not alone here, they were divinely selected almost, right? That all of those great men would have been alive at that time in the history of the world, coming together to build the United States Constitution, the greatest document, short of the Bible, in existence, in my opinion. Yes, I do love our country. I love our history. I was excited. Were you? Do you remember the 1976 bicentennial? I was, 6, 7 years old. It was awesome. And America was into it. Everybody. We had a culture. We had a country. And we came together as kids, big time. Kids, we dressed up as Minutemen. There I am on the left. My brother's on the right. We were Minutemen from the Revolutionary War, marching in the July 4th parade. We went to see the Liberty Bell back when they actually let you touch it. And we explored Independence Hall, and we did all those things that, quite frankly, Americans used to do before this toxic and false notion that America is fundamentally a racist country. Hey, and growing up, I knew about the Civil War. You knew about the Civil War. We all learned about the horrors of slavery. I remember vividly in first grade learning about slavery. And wow, Thomas Jefferson did that? Wow, but he was great. Yeah, he was great, but he did something bad. And it was all part of the package. And we still loved America. America, a beautiful place, right? Not lately. Not lately. How far we have fallen, I think, is exemplified by this moment. A side-by-side, John F. Kennedy and Joe Biden. Okay, what was John F. Kennedy talking about in 1962?
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
Make that 1961, by the way, and we did. Man on the moon, July 20th, 1969. I mean, America did that. The envy of the world. Fast forward, and President Joe Biden is in office at that same podium, in that same hall, but a totally different man.
I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential.
This is so ludicrously outside of his area of responsibility, his job description. You know what that's code for, right? What he's saying there, backing up transgender children. This is A-OK for the Democrats. Drag time story hour, which is being carried out in hundreds, thousands of school districts across the country. People dressed, men, women's clothing around children. It is perverse. So we went to the moon in 1969, and today, yeah, this is the issue. This is the issue of our time. And who are the heroes of our time? George Floyd. Now, I wish George Floyd had not died that day. I also wish he had obeyed the law. I also wish he didn't have all that fentanyl in his system. I also wish that, he wasn't a degenerate criminal for most of his life. Yeah, George Floyd did some bad things. I know there are statues all over the place for George Floyd, but if we're going to have statues, I think we need to know the whole story. In addition to this, he was an adult film star, an amateur adult film star, but yeah, he did some porn. Neither here nor there, but it's part of the story. But it's not, right? Because you can only talk about certain parts of the story. The narrative, that's a word they love. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, most people would see this. Most people before say the world lost its mind. would see this as a riot, not as a peaceful protest, not as some sort of righteous call for social or racial justice, whatever that is. Particularly powerful people, rich people, they embrace this so they could stay rich, so they could stay powerful.
We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people.
That's beautiful, Roger Goodell. Why did you say that? Now, why did he say that? A man who was trying to get Colin Kaepernick fired at one point for taking a knee is suddenly falsely accusing America of systemic racism. Now, why would that be? Here are a few million reasons. Roger Goodell, commissioner of the National Football League, $200 million, $64 million a year salary, at least $200 million. He's pushing billionaire status, right? This is insane, but it keeps them in power and it keeps them rich. But what does it do to the rest of us? Who likes Oreo cookies? What's to not like about Oreo cookies, right? So not controversial, so not anything but a cookie until 10 minutes ago. Yeah, believe it or not, this is an Oreo commercial. Apparently the kid's gay. That's fine, whatever. And somehow Oreos fits in the picture. I really had a hard time getting my head around this one. Yeah, it's a Nabisco ad. Watch. No cookies, no milk. No Cookie Monster, no double stuffed cookies, just weird staring and nothing. Nothing. Now show me the cookie, please. Well, they got to show you a special type of cookie. Yeah, the rainbow cookie, right? I mean, this is insane. This isn't even, it doesn't even make you want to eat Oreo cookies. Talk about the cookie. What are we supposed to do with this, right? Regular people, not Roger Goodell, not Beyonce. What about just people with jobs who'd like to keep those jobs? Well, we're not going to find out the truth by listening to mainstream media. They could care less. They're holding on by a thread. All they want is to keep those crummy jobs, and they'll do, say, and not report whatever it takes to keep those crummy jobs that are hanging on by a thread. They'll even do things like this.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
I'd love to find that guy back when he was like 22. Why do you want to go into journalism, right? Do you want to go into it to find out what's going on and maybe tell people about what's going on? That is, I don't know, the Rosetta Stone of fake news right there. In possible second place, or maybe this is even better, this whole Karen craze. You must cancel white women who dare stand up for themselves. This St. Louis resident, she lived in an apartment building, and she did what the apartment rules say you're supposed to do. Don't let anybody in the building without a key. There's no doorman there. You have to have a key or a key fob. She goes in. There's some character she's never seen before. He wants to walk in right behind her. I've heard of women being sexually assaulted, a similar MO. What does she do? She sticks up for herself.
Excuse me.
No. You don't have a key fob. You are... No.
No. Ma'am.
If you have that, then okay.
Ma'am, you're not security. You're not the property manager. You're not Mike Herman.
No, but I live here.
All right. So you see what happened there. A minor dispute between two people. Now, she happens to be a white woman. He happens to be a black male. It goes nuclear.
A confrontation caught on video, a white woman blocking a black tenant from entering their apartment building, demanding proof that he lives there.
This man holds a job, one of the major network evening news programs. Walter Cronkite used to have this job, talking about the space program. Peter Jennings talking about the Berlin Wall falling down. And this guy's talking about a white woman getting into an argument. So that institution, that industry we can't trust. Maybe we have the military, right? We can trust the military, can't we?
I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, they've gone. We haven't won a war since World War II. We support the men and women, the fighting men and women, but we have serious problems. That the military could produce a political animal like this, who appears with the commander-in-chief. I call him Mark Mutiny Milley. He walks across the street with President Trump. Remember that? There he is in the back. So what? So what? I think this was part of a coup. Listen to what he said about this appearance.
As many of you saw, the result of the photograph of me at Lafayette Square last week, that sparked a national debate about the role of the military in civil society. I should not have been there.
Wow. He apologizes up and down. Was this done to undermine our democracy? I think it was. I think it was. I know it undermined our military. I know it undermined his time, spending all this time virtue signaling, not planning for the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which happened a year later. And you know how it went down. The catastrophe, the avoidable catastrophe, and now the Taliban is in charge. We really are a country in a total free fall, and it's very, very dangerous out there. Dangerous physically. It's dangerous to men. Men, be careful. After Christine Blasey Ford came forward without a shred of evidence to back up her outrageous claims, and the entire country stopped and listened to this obvious Democrat prop, yet no one paid a damn lick of attention to Tara Reade. Tara Reade, she was able to document that she worked on then Senator Joe Biden's staff in the early 1990s. She claims that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. You can find her on a podcast, but she was never invited to testify on Capitol Hill. There are so many really horrible things happening in this country, and I do believe one great hope we have is Donald Trump. You know, when he came down that escalator, I actually take pride in this. I happened to be in the room. It was kind of a fluke, but I was in the room. And, well, you remember what he said, right? It really spoke to me.
Our country is in serious trouble. We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories, but we don't have them.
It hit me right here. And I was watching it in person. That's me. You may notice I know that's my hairline, all right. That's me standing. And after it was over, and only because I was there, and because, well, compared to other people in the media, I hadn't actually been in the media that long. I spent my entire 20s and early part of my 30s in the military, not running around with a microphone. And I could listen, and I could take him seriously and not literally. This was my reaction moments after the speech.
I think he might be a game changer in this race. Listen to that speech. It's going to go over well in certain precincts in Iowa, New Hampshire. This is a big deal. This is not a joke.
The establishment media did not give him one chance, not one chance. I knew he could win, not because I'm brilliant or some sort of political prognosticator, but I don't know. I didn't grow up in the media and spent a lot of time in the military, moving all around the country and listening. And I spent enough time in Iraq to know that Donald Trump was absolutely right. And finally, somebody said it.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
There was never a doubt of who I was going to vote for after that moment. After that moment, I knew this was the guy. And unlike anybody else on that stage, or just about anybody else, not everybody, but most, they go into politics to be something and to get stuff, money and power. But this guy, I think this is John Voight, narrated the RNC convention. Listen to this.
For money or power or fame, he had all that.
Money or power or fame, he had all of that. Joe Biden, the rest of them, they went in to get that. And Donald Trump actually fought for us, fighting for you, fighting for somebody. We saw it every day when he was president. We saw what he was up against. You ever hear another politician say it, right? When they say it, are they telling the truth? No. They're reading from some old campaign manager's playbook.
What I'll do as president what Donald Trump hasn't. I'll fight for you.
I will fight for you.
I want to fight for you.
I know you, and I will fight for you.
I will fight for you.
I will be a senator who will fight for you.
Yeah, they didn't mean it. Donald Trump actually meant it. Maybe that's part of the problem, right? That's just a bunch of garbage you say on the campaign trail. Then you go to Washington to get fat and lazy and dumb. Who remembers the movie Rocky, right? Sylvester Stallone, one of the greatest movies ever. Remember when Rocky punches out Apollo Creed in the first round? Yeah. And then Apollo, he gets a little pep talk from his ring man there. What does he say? He doesn't know it's a damn show. He thinks it's a damn fight. It's kind of like President Trump. President Trump really went there to do things. He thought it was a fight to get things done for the people, not a show just to enrich themselves. I think that works. And, I was in high school when this happened, and I thought, this guy's a joke. I knew at 17, this guy is crazy.
Do you feel you're able to control, to put in the vernacular of your mouth, that you can think before you talk?
Well, I've been in this business for 15 years. I let my record of 15 years versus the transgression that you're referring to stand, and you all can make that judgment. I feel very capable of using my mouth in sync with my mind.
Oh my goodness. Jack Nicholson, anybody? Notice how he called it a business? I've been in this business for 15 years. This is right around the time everybody found out he was a plagiarist and a serial liar. He had to drop out, but somehow he has come back. And when you make a serial liar president, nothing matters. And they'll come out and say stuff like this.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation.
Nice line, but he didn't mean it, which kind of indicates maybe he has no soul. He's done nothing to unify this country, nothing. And 3 easy things he could have done right there. Number 1, call off this phony impeachment of Donald Trump. Number 2, get big tech off the backs of conservatives. And number 3, maybe go easy, all right, on the January 6 prisoners, at least the ones who didn't hurt anybody and didn't break anything. And there are a lot of people in jail who didn't hurt anybody, didn't break anything. What's his prime directive? I think it's covering up all the enrichment he's done over the years and hooking up Hunter. It might just be that simple. And I have something to say about January 6th. Yeah, it was a bad day, but the prosecution and the persecution and the pretext that day has been exploited so heavily by the left, by the media. Enrique Tarrio is facing 22 years in jail. He was falsely called a white supremacist. He's Afro-Cuban. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't break anything. Something is very, very wrong. I'll have more when we come back. Many thanks. You're watching Greg Kelly at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.